Good morning, everyone. Today is the 12th of April, 2025. Welcome to the regular monthly meeting and broadcast of the Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. I'm Gerhard Roof, the re-elected president of the group. We welcome the formal members of our group who may participate directly in discussions using Zoom if they turn on their microphone or the Zoom chat feature. We also invite the general public who are watching live or in the coming days via the UV Tag Facebook group page or our YouTube channel. For those watching live, we invite you to note your comments and questions in the Facebook comments feature for this posting or in the Zoom chat for those of you that are there. Please also let us know from where you are watching this broadcast. We normally begin our meetings with an opening prayer, and Jerry Castillo has consented to offer that invocation.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the opportunity to participate together as a group and to learn about our families, to learn about the importance family has to us each individually, and grateful for the part that we play and the role that we play in presenting their stories and gathering their information so that others may know about our families and what has gone on in our past times, generations. We pray, Father, for thy spirit to attend us. May we all benefit from the discussion that will be presented about families, and we pray for this blessing in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
For a first item on our agenda today, we report the results of last month's election of officers for the next 12 months. Gerhard Roof was elected as president, Laurie Werner Castillo as first vice president, and Rebecca, who prefers Becky, Martin as secretary. The Board of Trustees has certified the election. For today, we originally planned on having Laurie Castillo do the presentation, but her health took a turn for the worse and she will not be able to present today. We will reschedule her presentation, which is titled Lost Towns and Cities, How to Research Places That May No Longer Exist, for a future meeting. Today, what we'll do is rebroadcast a highly popular presentation from 3.5 years ago, which still has relevance today. On the 13th of November, 1921, Dan Debenham presented on relative race behind the scenes of a multi-million-dollar production. Dan showed clips and spoke about the power of family and the challenges presented to produce the show. This broadcast is from byutv.org and is running now in its 14th season. If you haven't watched any of its episodes, you'll be both entertained and encouraged in your family history endeavors as you watch four couples race to follow clues to find current relatives about whom they knew nothing about across the country. This particular presentation did not include a handout. At the end, we will entertain any comments and try to address questions you may have about this presentation. So here we go.
It's a Saturday morning, the 13th of November of 2021. I'm
Uh-oh.
Don Snow. I'm in St. George, Utah.
Are
We
you
have
hearing that,
speakers
Jerry?
with us. We have our host today is
Yes.
Dawn Brimhall. She's down in Texas. Our
It's not
speakers
coming
are in
across
northern
for me.
Utah, and we've got people online and Zoom with us from around the country, from Washington to various other places in Utah and elsewhere. And I'll just get us going, and then I'm going to introduce Rayanne Melick, our financial officer for the UV Tag, Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group, and she will introduce our speaker in a couple of minutes. We welcome you all to attend our meetings. They're open to the general public. If you're a member of the UV Tag, you can watch this on Zoom, which is a little more interactive, but everybody can watch on Facebook. And a little bit later on, by later today, it will be posted. The video will be posted on Facebook as well as on our YouTube channel. And so we're glad to have you with us. If you're from out of town, wherever you're from, it'd be interesting to have you just send a note and say greetings from wherever you happen to be from. Now, let me just make a couple of announcements. Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group has been in existence for 31 years. We're finishing our 31st year, if you can imagine that. We were the old PAF users group from years ago. And so we've been in existence for a long time. And many of the people who are on with us today have been with us since the very beginning of the organization. Uh, there's a newsletter that we publish that if you're a member of the group, you get. The membership is only $15 a year. And on our website, uvtag.org, there's a place that you can sign up and you can ask for a free copy of that newsletter so that you can get a copy of it to see what it's like, to see if you want to be with us. But it has lots of good stuff in it for both for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, for temple and family history consultants, as well as for other people. So it's loaded with information, and our editor does just a wonderful job of getting. Let's see if there's anything else I need to say. I don't think there is on general stuff. We always start our meetings with a prayer, and I've asked Dawn Brimhall, who's down in Texas, and she's our host, if she would offer a prayer. So, Dawn, will you unmute yourself and offer a opening prayer for us?
Our dear Heavenly Father, I think these.
First of all, I think it might be helpful to. First of all, you're Dan, the guy from Relative Race. I said, yeah, and they go, you're a really good actor, and I say, I'm not an actor. I've never been an actor. And so everything that happens on Relative Race is real. I think first of all, I think it might be helpful to dive into a little bit of where Relative Race came from. What was the the genesis, the inception of this? About 10, 11 years ago, I was reading an article in a local newspaper, and I happen to be living in northern Utah. Although I grew up in Alaska. I'm actually from Alaska. But living in northern Utah, and I was reading an article in a local paper about Brigham Young University starting a new network called BYU TV. And it explained that it was growing out of the Blue and White Network, which was a national and international broadcast kind of wavelength. You couldn't stream back then, but the Blue and White Network was put together for mostly BYU sports to be seen around the country and internationally, as well as things like general conferences and other large church meetings. But there was a decision made to turn the Blue and White Network into BYU TV and look for programming that would reach families. And when that happened, I tried to get I tried to get a meeting with them. It took me about 9 months to get a meeting with the people at BYU TV, and we introduced ourselves, Lensworks Productions, of which I'm a partner in. Lensworks Productions is based out of Salt Lake City, and I explained that we would love to try to do original programming for them, and we had a concept. Our first concept that we pitched to them was called Dining with the Dean. And I wished I could see all of you at once, because I'd ask if anybody remembers or has ever seen Dining with the Dean. It was an unscripted show where we went around the country and we featured 2 clubs on university campuses, and they would have 3 hours to plan, present, and to plan, prepare, and present a 3-course meal to the dean of students, who would decide which club had done the best job. The club that did the best job would win $5,000 given to the charity of their choice. That's how we were first introduced to BYU TV. That show lasted 1 season. And then BYU TV tried to figure out who they were. They conducted various research groups around the country to find out, what did the public think BYU TV was. And nobody really knew what they were, according to these focus groups that they conducted. Ultimately, in the end, they decided that they had too many cooking shows. And so ours was one of many shows that they discontinued. I kept in touch with BYU TV because I enjoyed the people there. I respected them and appreciated them. And I appreciated what BYU TV was trying to do. And 3 years after dining with the dean, I got a call from a guy by the name of Scott Swafford. I don't know if anybody knows Scott. Very smart, very well-respected gentleman who knows television content and production inside and out. Scott called me up and he said, "Hey, we'd like to come up to your offices and talk to you about something." So Scott and his assistant, Terry Pappas, came up to our offices and said, "We've been contacted," BYU TV, had been contacted by Ancestry. They asked me if I knew what Ancestry.com was. And I said, "Of course." And they said, "Okay, have you heard of Ancestry DNA?" I said, "No." They said, "Well, it's a brand new division of their company that they're launching." And they came to us, BYU TV, and said, "Might we, BYU TV, create a television show that would showcase how DNA could be used to find family?" And then BYU said some nice things about our company and said that they challenged us with coming up with a concept that would do that very thing, enable people to find family using DNA as the start of that search. And so 2 weeks later, we came back to BYU TV and we said, "We have this show called The Relative Race." And real quickly they said, "Can you drop the word the?" We said, "Sure, it's just a working title." They said, "It's better for social media." So The Relative Race turned into Relative Race, and that is how it all started. And in fact, the very first thing that I'd like to show you is I've got some videos that I'd like to show you, some video clips, as we talk about some things that take place behind the scenes. And the very first thing that you're going to see here this morning is, first of all, a promo that we did for one of our early seasons. I think this was for season 3. And then following that clip, I'm going to let it roll into the next clip. And that clip is from season 1. I don't know how many people ever saw season 1. It was kind of a proof of concept, and the network no longer even makes it available. I don't know if they just think it's so different from how the show has kind of grown that they don't stream it anymore or show it on the network. But I have some clips from season 1, and I want you to see in this first clip, we're introduced to a husband and wife team out of Seattle, and she had a very broken family, very troublesome childhood, wasn't in touch with any of her family. And you'll see what happens. I think it was the 7th day into the race. And in that first season, they actually raced from coast to coast. That was the original concept, racing from coast to coast in 10 days. So on that first season, we started in San Francisco and wound up in New York City. That was difficult, to say the least. Importance of meeting her first family member on the race, and I think joy that she has in her face, the emotion as she meets this family member for the first time. And of course, that's what this is all about, is finding family and uniting them. Let's take a look at these first 2 clips. Thank you, Avery. Avery, this is, I wish I could show, this is Avery's hand in here. She's helping me. All right, here we go.
didn't know here, but I knew here who she was.
It is the best feeling.
I've been daydreaming of it for so long.
This is 44 years of just not knowing.
You can literally meet people and in 10 seconds connect so deeply.
I'm excited just to meet family because my family's really broken. Both my parents have passed away, but the siblings don't speak. So there's a lot of heartache with that for me. There's times when we're sitting around the table at a friend's and I wish that it was a real family member.
Your relative is who the team considers their 12th man.
Oh my gosh.
And they're somewhere in the crowd.
Whose relative?
Where is the relative?
Oh my gosh,
Margo, this is your niece. This is our Red Bank High School teacher, Sarah Spencer.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh.
We got some long-lost relatives here tonight.
Hi, Margo. Who are you? Dixie's daughter, Sarah. You're my niece? Yes. You're my niece. Yes.
Oh, my word.
Oh, God.
Hi, I'm Doug. Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is the moment I've been waiting for. This trip I've been waiting for. I mean, I wanted to meet one of my family, but I did not expect this. This is so cool. I am Margot's niece. My mother and her are half-sisters, and they have the same father. Watching them walk onto the field was just really exciting. Watching Margot just get so excited and running up into the stands and just getting to have that huge hug was really special. I have only met one relative, and then they've all been his. I heard the last three were his.
I have felt a lot of sadness in the last few days for her, and to know that this is her relative that she's connected to has made my week.
She's my niece. This is big. This is my dad and his daughter and her daughter, who is my niece. I can't believe it. We won. If we don't go anymore, we totally did it.
So the point of that video clip is to showcase the power of family using real, raw emotion. And the show is designed, for those of you who are familiar with the show, we designed the show specifically to bring out that emotion at the end of every day. And that's why they typically start at around 7 o'clock in the morning, is when they get that first text from me telling them where they're headed to. And then the course again, the show again, by design, does not allow them to use any technology. They can only use paper maps and their own instincts or ask people for directions. And that again is to, by design, to really kind of drain them throughout the day emotionally. Then they have to overcome the challenge that we create and build and test and place in every city every day of the race. And that challenge again usually weighs on them emotionally or physically, mentally, so that by the time they reach their relative's address and they know that their clock has stopped, and that's very important. The contestants all know the moment they arrive at that address, their clock stops. So all of that concern of the race part of the show ends. And they're raw, they're tired, and at that point, they're emotional, and those emotions are real. And in that very first season, that was Margot Enberg. Her husband, Doug, every single day for 6 days straight, they had met one of Doug's relatives. And what you don't know behind the scenes is that Margot wanted to quit. Her producer actually called me up on the road and said, Margot wants to go home because she's not meeting any of her relatives. I like Margot. I like Margot a lot. We've actually stayed in touch, Doug and Margot and I. But Margot, let's put it this way. Margot is kind of used to having things her way, and things weren't going her way. And when she met that relative, it was so real for her that, as she stated, they didn't care if they went any further. They didn't care about the money anymore, because obviously the person that finishes in first place on day 10 wins the money. They didn't care. All she wanted to do was meet family. And in that moment, she met her first relative. And the beauty of Relative Race is we're able to capture those very real scenes with a multitude of cameras. And we don't ask them to redo the scene and give us more emotion. We just shoot what's there. And it is powerful. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this next scene, and we'll talk a little bit about what happened here.
Hi, I'm Brooke.
And I'm Anthony.
And we can't wait to meet our relatives.
Family's important. As you get older, you realize, wow, that's it. That's all I really, really have.
Wow. Anderson.
Oh. What? Oh, man. Oh.
Hi, man. Great. Oh, man. Oh, man. He didn't know who we were, or who he was meeting, or who he was looking for. Our relationship is first cousins. Your mother's father and my mother's father is the same person.
I have a cousin that I never knew. And I feel like a whole new world just opening up for me with family, bro.
You know, today meeting Anthony, my heart had, literally been kind of stitched up and, almost made complete.
We keep finding people that we would have never found, any other way. And it's emotional for you, but it's,
oh, yeah.
Because we're family. We got the same blood running through us, bro. And
Let's hug it out. Let's hug it out.
So one of the things that I wanted to point out there was Anthony's very visceral reaction. I actually use his quote a lot when I do various talks and speeches and presentations in the country. That very first season, what really struck me there was when Anthony said, "We have the same blood running through our veins." And this is from somebody that didn't know any family. He didn't know family. And he met this cousin, and that moment when he realized that we have the same blood running through our veins was this powerful moment, and this big, strong, proud. If you remember, he was a cop in Las Vegas. He just broke down and started crying. And I think for those of us that know our families well, you think, gee, but it was just a cousin. But to those that don't know anyone, that literally don't have a single blood relative in their lives and don't know where they come from or how they belong, meeting a relative is powerful and real. This next clip is from someone, the moment that he meets someone in his life that changed his life forever, and this young man remains one of the favorite cast members that we've ever had on our show. And if you watch this season, then you'll remember this moment. And if you haven't, I hope you'll enjoy this moment.
I'm Joe Greer.
My name's Madison Greer.
And we are Team Black, and we live in Portland, Oregon. And we're here with one purpose and one mission, and that's to find family. I was born in Flint, Michigan, to just my mother. It was just her and I. Never knew my father, never knew who my biological father was. On the night of my 4th birthday, my mother went out with some coworkers for the evening, and she didn't come home. She was involved in a drunk driving accident that was not her fault. It ended up taking her life. I just want to know who my dad is. That's a big reason, you know, why I'm here, why, you know, I'm doing this is to hopefully, I don't know, experience some peace and through some heavy questions being answered and some holes being filled. It took me, I think, till about him to get to the base of the steps to really understand what was about to happen.
Joe, it's great to meet you.
Hi. He walked towards me and embraced me, and man.
So, whose relative are you?
I'm Joe's father.
Really?
Really.
I honestly didn't think a day like this would ever happen. You know, it's always just been this weird, like, distant dream. Like, there's no way anybody will be able to find him.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Oh, my word.
Doug?
Yeah.
You knew my mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can talk about all of that. It's a long story.
I can't wait to hear it. Wow. It's just overwhelming. I don't know what to do with all of it. That's amazing.
That's great.
Look at that. We look alike, don't we? Look at that.
Look at that.
I love that. My father is Douglas H. McElhaney, and I found him on Relative Race.
So one of the things I want to point out here behind the scenes is that it's very tough for our team to delicately, respectfully contact some of the relatives, and in this case, a father. And it's typically the fathers that have no idea that they have a son or a daughter out there. And in this case, we contacted Joe's father and said, you have a son, and would you like to meet him on this television show? And Joe's father said, that's impossible. I don't have a son. It's not possible. And so he just simply wouldn't accept the fact that DNA was showing that he had this son. And so he said, well, I don't believe in those DNA tests. They're really inexpensive, so they probably aren't always correct. And we said, well, would you like us to test you again? And so he said, yes. Well, the bottom line is we tested him 3 different times with 3 different companies, and pointed out to him that they were 99.999999% correct, and that he in fact had this son. As you could see there, it was powerful and instantaneous, this connection. And the connection was so important because 3 months after that, he died. Joe's father died. But because he had met him, he was able to attend his funeral with all of his family, his biological family. And it was something that he shared with me, that, you know, he would have done anything anything to have that moment. And fortunately, we, LensWorks, and Relative Race were able to present that moment to him and for him. And it's humbling and it's powerful and it's very real what we're able to do for these people who are searching for family. Let's take a look at the next clip.
Hi, I'm Kayla Williams.
And I'm Dooley Williams.
We're the Blue Team from Smyrna, Tennessee.
And we're on this show for the adventure.
My dad left when I was 6 years old. And I think that's one of the main reasons why my mom and I became best friends. When Mom died, I couldn't believe it. My mother was buried without a marker, and by her just being in the ground, it didn't justify who she really was. When we went, I wanted to spend the money on a marker for my mom, and I wanted to say the most wonderful mother in the world, because that's what she was. Oh, I dropped something out.
So I want to stop this just for a moment and make sure that we all heard what she said there. When her mother passed away, they were so poor that she was buried in an unmarked grave. And their entire desire, their entire reason, their motivation for trying to win this show was so that they could buy a marker and put it there over her mother and say the most wonderful mother in the world. That was their entire motivation, was simply to have the money to be able to get her mother a long, this lifelong dream of being able to at least acknowledge where her mother's buried with a marker and just a simple inscription that said the most wonderful mother in the world. And so this now flashes forward to day 7 of this second season of the show.
Congratulations, but there's one more property you must find. Across the street is the cemetery. Visit the plot belonging to Kayla's mother to complete your challenge.
Oh, where? So the card tells us to go to my mother's plot. It's through here.
Found it? Oh, snap. Here you go, right here. Oh, snap.
When we got to my mother's plot, I looked down and I didn't see that coming.
It's real nice, man.
It's beautiful. The most wonderful mother in the world. Because she was. Gaitha Ella Williams. I wasn't expecting to see a marker. When she died, it was unexpected. And we couldn't afford a headstone. So to look down and see a stone and just like I envisioned it was a great moment. Because my mom finally has a marker.
To think that Relative Race, this show, did this for Kayla, it's overwhelming. We know how much your mother means to you and hope that you both appreciate this gift to end your challenge, but there are more surprises in store today. Find your next relative at 1117 Truman Ave. Once we found the marker, there's a lot of sentimental feelings, so we just kind of had to take a time out. There's no way we could just go on and just act like it was nothing. I know, babe. It's finally closure. It's gonna be all right.
I really don't know how it's going to affect me, just like I didn't know how the phone call was going to affect me with the kids. But I know what my mom would say. Stop worrying about me. Just go on. Just move. And she would want me to do my best and to win. And so that's what I'm going to try to do. No, that's what I'm going to do. I'm making it to Boston.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Hi. How you doing, Kayla?
Yes, can we take a picture?
We can take a picture? Yeah. Bring it in, everybody. Cheese.
Team Blue has arrived.
Oh, Kayla, you have no idea.
And their clock is now stopped.
Okay, who are you related to? And then we're going to ask to use your bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm related to you.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
By how? My dad?
I'm your sister, Mia.
Oh, snap. Oh, wow.
I never knew you existed. I did. I was looking for you. I met my sister tonight. I feel like my sister's home, my big sister, finally came to see her baby sister. Mia. You're my sister. Mia. My dad was married several times, and he didn't talk about it. So when he abandoned us, he didn't tell us about any of his children or their families. All I ever had were pictures of you. You had pictures of me. I wish I had bought them. As a kid, sometimes I would just get the photo album, and I would just stare at her picture. My dad, I guess he kept them, and when he left, they were in our photo album. I always asked my mom about you. Wondering when or if she was alive or if I'd ever meet her.
Well, you don't worry, because now I know about you, and we're going to continue this relationship.
I can't believe it. It means the world to me. There are no words. Yeah. Oh, man, this is worth it. Okay, can I pee now?
So, in that first part of that clip, you saw that Lensworks was able to provide a marker and surprise her with that at her mother's grave. And I remember so well the producer, his name is Jared Monch, that was the producer of Kayla and Dooley. And Jared came to me and said, you know, Dan, I really want to do this for her. And I think it would not only help with the story, but I think it would just help them. And what I realized in that moment, and I want to pass along to all of us to consider, is that those of us, not only I hope that many or most of us sharing these conversations today are from a solid family. We grew up with, in my case, I grew up with a loving mother and father and loving brothers and a sister. And to this day, and especially now at this moment in my life, I've needed them more than ever. But I always took that for granted. I thought everybody grew up that way. But the other thing that I realized in that moment when Jared came to me and said, you know, would I write a check for a marker, is I realized how blessed many of us are. And in this case, I was temporally, financially, to not even be able to afford a marker for your mother. I can't even imagine that. And in the end, it was the easiest answer was, of course, we'll pay for a marker for her mother. And I want us to consider that. The takeaway from this conversation today is for those of us that have had family and known our family our entire lives, is to realize how fortunate, how blessed we are. But also, if we're able to afford a marker or have 3 meals a day, how blessed we are compared to so many. Often in this show, we find family that are so destitute that it is incredibly humbling to be able to sit down and see their circumstances And I'm reminded of the blessings that I have, not only of a strong family, but the way that I've been blessed temporally. And in this occasion, the opportunity to be able to give back. So let's move on to the next clip.
Maddie, down this way.
So we already met Joe's father in this second season, but he had more surprises taking place. And remember, Joe knew absolutely no one from the moment his mother died in a car accident when he was very, very young.
Up here. I found her. I found her. Angie?
Yes. I'm your sister.
Dad told me 2 days ago. Showed me a photo of you. I did.
How can I do it? He showed me a photo 2 days ago. Man.
She knew exactly who I was, and I knew exactly who she was, and it was absolutely perfect. I could not have written a better meeting or an introduction of me and my sister. That's how it should be, and we have a lot to catch up on. And I'm so excited for that, but it was absolutely beautiful.
I have a baby brother. You don't know how long I've waited for this.
So we've got 4 cousins, a great aunt, a dad, and a sister. Man, the relative race is not a joke. It's the real deal.
So I think we'll stop it at that moment. I have many more clips, but I think we'll stop it there. Now, Avery, do I need to do something to bring everything back full or anything? It's amazing. I'm partners in a production company, but technically I'm like, so now that we're all back together, I want to take maybe the last 15, 20 minutes here and just open it up to questions. And I'm not sure how that will work in this format, whether that's Rayanne that's going to forward those questions on, or how we'll move forward. Looks like we have a chat. Thanks. Looks like we have a chat room going on. So are there any questions of anyone at this point wanting to know anything from behind the scenes or what we do at LensWorks to prepare for roller race? And by the way, we just finished season 9, right? Yeah, we just finished season 9. Okay, we've had about 45 total so far. The numbers keep going up and down. This is Sharon Stagg, who's on Facebook, who has it.
Then, this is Bruce Merrill.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi. We've been watching Relative Race for many years now, and there's no advertisements on the show. So who's footing the bill?
It's a great question, Bruce. Who's paying for the production costs? So BYU TV solicits donations specifically for their programming. So it is private donors that pay for the production costs. And LensWorks Productions, we are a for-profit. BYU TV is a nonprofit, but my company is for-profit, and yet we produce this for about 1/2 the cost of what it would normally be for any other network, and we're happy to do so because, again, we're aligned with BYU TV and what we're trying to accomplish here. And so the bill is footed by, the money comes from private donations.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Bruce. And thanks for watching. I hope that you continue to enjoy it.
We enjoy it a lot. We're wondering who's gonna win this current.
Yes, I know who won, but I can't tell you.
Dan, this is Rayanne.
Yes,
I've been I've watched since the very beginning too. I would like to know, as many others do, how do you choose the teams?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we have a casting agency out of Los Angeles that we work with. And we also have our own casting site. And in fact, if you know anybody that's looking for family that is interested in being on the show, we strongly ask that you send them to our casting site, which is simply relativeracecasting.com. So relativeracecasting.com. This past season, for instance, we received about 700. Over 1,000. Avery oversaw that actually. So we had over 1,000 people apply to be on the show, and how we choose them is in two very important subcategories, if you will. The first and most important is, what is their story? So as part of that submission for casting to be on the show, they have to submit a video, and they tell us why they want to be on the show and who they're looking for. And so we're looking for a really strong story that we believe our audience will connect with on an emotional level. And then obviously the second part of that is well, there's actually three parts. The second part of that is, can we find their family? We have an amazing genealogist that is our lead genealogist. Many of you may know her, Tristan Tolman. She is unbelievable. She is in many ways the heart and soul of our show. She is incredible how she is able to not only find family, but she is the initial outreach to those family members, trying to convince them that we are not some scam, that we will not show them in a negative light, that our show is one of positivity and love and conviction of family. Then the third criteria that we have, and I like to call it televisionality. Do they have a personality that will resonate on camera? And those are the three criteria. And from those over 1,000, believe it or not, we're easily able to, well, not so easily, but we are able to whittle it down to about 40. And of those 40, we then send out all the DNA tests and kits, and it takes us many, many, many months to see if we can find 9 key relatives, because there's 9 days of racing to find relatives before they reach day 10. And from those 40 some odd teams, couples, we're able to whittle it down to about 15, and we take those top 15 teams to Brigham Young University, to BYU TV, and we sit down with the executive producers at BYU TV, and we together come up with a top 4, and then a second 4, and then a third 4. So our top 4 teams are picked, and then backups to those 4 teams, and then backups to those 4 teams. And I can tell you that we have never had our first 4 teams all be on the show together. It never once in 9 seasons. We just run into some kind of roadblock along the way to where, for whatever reason, we're unable to get all of our top teams on. And so that's why we have backups to backups to backups, and that's how we find our teams.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Carol, who's monitoring our Facebook, and she has some questions.
Great, Carol, go right ahead.
All right. Hey, Dan. First question was, can you share a story or two of the healing possible through family history and your show?
Yeah. Well, yes. I can tell you one that's probably one of my favorite. It came from season, what was Raymond? Season 6, Avery? Yeah. Season 6. Yeah. So in season 6, we meet on Team Red a gentleman by the name of Raymond. And Ray, I'm 6'3" and 210 pounds, so I'm a pretty big guy. Raymond dwarfed me. Raymond was about 6'5" and probably 270 pounds. This big, huge man. who had a hurt going on inside of him unlike any other. He had been placed for adoption by his mother, but through his research and family stories, he had heard that his mother had kept a brother. So his biological mother had kept a brother, but had put him out for adoption. And he just couldn't understand why. Why was he the unwanted one in his family? Why was he abandoned and forgotten? And he really had, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but let's say that as he thought of his brother, this brother that was out there that stayed in the family, he did not have the most kind feelings about him. Now, he'd never met him, and he wasn't 100% sure that this story was true, but this is what he had heard. Well, in that season, on that season, season 6, we had found his brother, and they meet. And the healing that took place and the love between those two brothers that happened instantaneously and continues to this day. Raymond emails me about every 6 weeks. For the last 2 years, I receive emails from Raymond about every 6 weeks. He sees his brother almost weekly. So you want to talk about healing, is the love that he has with his brother and that brother for him, and to be able to discover firsthand what took place, took away any hurt in his heart, and now he has this brother that'll have for eternity. That's one case, that one powerful case that I hope answers that question.
Yes, I think that's amazing. Well, everybody on Facebook is crying, they say. We just so it's really touching. Yeah, we have another one. Which one was the hardest season to film, and why?
Wow. Actually, believe it or not, Avery's nodding her head. It was this season, the season that we just finished, not the season that's airing. Right now, season 8 is airing, but we finished season 9 about 2 weeks ago, right? Yeah. That was by far the most difficult season that we've ever had. And the reasons were internal, in that our general manager, our office manager, our unit production manager, 3 of our 4 challenge producers, and our senior challenge coordinator and senior producer for day 1 and day 10 were all new with our company. And it all happened within about 30 days. It just so happened, for a myriad of reasons, from pregnancies to other job opportunities, to people that we elected not to bring back for a variety of reasons. But we had so many new people within our organization, within LensWorks Productions. And then we had, on top of that, we had 2 new producers, and we had one of our producers come down with COVID. Was it a week before we started filming? I think it was within 1 week before we started filming, one of our producers contracted COVID, so he couldn't go out. So we had to throw in a fill-in. It was, and then on top of that, one of our teams wound up to be the second most challenging team that we've ever had to work with. So you could, what was that?
And our location.
Yeah, and that's right too. And our day 1, that's right, I forgot about that. Our day 1 location that we had worked on for 4 months, for our day 1 location to start the entire season, they inexplicably sent us an email about 3 weeks before we were to start filming, that we were no longer welcome to film at their location. This past season was I swear I am stunned that I am still alive and breathing. I have never, I don't know that I've ever had that much stress professionally in my life as the past basically 3 months. So this past season, which will air, season 9 will air this coming spring. That season is the most difficult season we have ever had by a country mile.
Wow, that's amazing.
I hope nobody will be able to tell. We're editing it all right now. It takes us 5 to 6 months to edit, and I hope that the shows are as powerful and impactful as we want them to be. But boy, behind the scenes, we had more challenges than we have ever had in our professional careers.
Wow, that's really interesting to hear all that. Just one more question from a Kathy Roberts. Has there ever been a connection that after the show did not keep in contact with their relative, or do you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's probably 25%, probably a quarter of all the connections don't keep in touch. I think that's just life. You meet your relative and you find out you don't like them. I mean, you go to family I go to family reunions, and the Debenham family reunions have, there's 150 of us that show up, and some of my cousins or second cousins I'm not real fond of, and I'm sure they're not real fond of me. It's just personalities, and so there's absolutely, I mean, this is real, and we certainly don't, we're not under any illusions that everybody is going to love each other forever and eternity. While we certainly hope that's the case, and that is the vast majority of them, there is absolutely some people that don't keep in touch with certain relatives. And you can see that, by the way, on some of our shows. If you watch closely, I can think of one instance from season, what was Marie and Elizabeth? Was that season 5? I think it was season 5, Marie and Elizabeth, Team Red. We knew that, I think it was Marie. Marie had heard about her biological father, and she was very wary of things that she had heard throughout the family. She never met him, but she was wary of certain things. And you can see when they meet on the show, you can see that she's very distant. And you can, and again, we don't direct them. We don't require them to show emotion or hug, or we just roll our cameras. And you can see in that instance that she's very wary of her biological father. So what you see is what you get. And again, we do our best to make everybody feel comfortable in the moment so that they will give their best real reactions. They'll provide those for us, but certainly there are times when people don't stay in touch.
Great, thank you. That's all we have from Facebook. Just Mary Beth said sorry about the season that was hard to film, but they said thanks so much to keep it going. They love it, so thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Dan, this is Don Snow. 2 questions. One is, what are your plans for the future? How much longer are you going to, how many more episodes do you plan to do? And the second question is, I'm interested to know about you and your own background. Where did you grow up, and what's your history?
Well, Don, you're down there in St. George, right?
Correct.
I have a second home down there in St. George, and I graduated from Dixie College. So.
Oh, you did? They just changed the name yesterday.
Yeah. So I'll first tell you about the show. How long? It's not up to us. Again, we're the company that created the show and then produces the show. And then it was Ancestry and BYU TV that asked me to host the show. And as was pointed out in that brief bio of me, my background is as a television anchor. I was a sports anchor and reporter my entire career until I arrived in Utah, at which point I kind of diversified, and then eventually became a partner. I have the best business partner in the world, Tom Zadunich, and that's where the Z comes in our company name, LensWorks, with the Z. You see it at the end of every episode of Relative Race. It says a LensWorks production. It's because my business partner's last name is Zadunich with Z, so that's our brand. But how long will Relative Race go? That's completely up to BYU TV. They have a new president in place now. He's a very impressive man that knows our industry incredibly well, been very successful at every point in his career. I've not had the opportunity to meet him yet. I'm hoping to do that soon. And I'm hoping that he and his staff and the church decides that they want this show to continue. We wait for a production agreement from them every season. I will tell you that we just received a contract for casting for season 10. This would be our 10th anniversary, and I've presented to BYU TV some different creative options that we think would be really fun and very remarkable for the audience for season 10. We've got something up our sleeves that, if approved, would be unlike any other season on Relative Race. It would be really, really cool. As far as my background, I grew up in Sacramento until I was 6 years old. My father is the eldest of 5 children from an area of Salt Lake City called East Mill Creek. My mother is the youngest of 13 surviving children from what was then a farming community called Delta, Utah. And my parents, after being married, my father was in the military, and when he got out, he was an attorney and was one of the assistant attorney generals in California. So I lived in Sacramento until my father became the assistant attorney general up in Alaska. So we moved up to Alaska, and I lived there until I was 17, at which point my parents wanted to move back to Utah. So I actually graduated, or as they said back in the day, graduated from Pleasant Grove High School. My mother was a cheerleader at Dixie College. We have a long history of going to Dixie College. It's now Dixie State University. But at the time it was Dixie College. And so all of my siblings, my older siblings, went to Dixie College, and I went to Dixie College. And all of us, interestingly enough, all of us met our spouses while attending Dixie College. So we have a warm place in our hearts for Dixie College. When I graduated, I was asked to become a partner in a group of restaurants called the Pizza Factory. And I was a partner at a very young age. Actually, I was 18 years old when I was asked to be a partner. And I did that until my wife encouraged me to go back to school. At that point, I was in Salt Lake City, where I was a 1/3 owner in 3 different restaurants up there. I went to school part-time up at the University of Utah, and I majored in broadcast journalism, and was very fortunate to leave the restaurant business, although I deeply revered my business partners. They were great men that really mentored me, but I knew I wanted to be in television, and so I started back in my hometown of Anchorage, Alaska, as a sports anchor for the ABC affiliate. And 2.5 years later, I was very fortunate and got a job at ESPN. So moved to Connecticut, where I was a sports anchor at ESPN until my wife and kids asked me to be at home more often. I was gone about 7 months of the year on assignment for ESPN. And so I resigned, and we moved to Salt Lake City. And from there, we eventually opened up LensWorks Productions, and we have now had LensWorks Productions, my business partner and I, for the last 22 years. So we feel very blessed, very fortunate, and we create a wide number of productions, but Relative Race, I would say, is our crowning jewel. But we do a lot of different production work for a lot of companies all around the world, actually. So we're very fortunate.
Thanks. That's a wonderful summary. Appreciate it.
You bet. And I will add this. I will add that this show is more powerful to me. I don't often talk about that, but in this setting, I will. This show is much more powerful and personal to me since we lost our oldest son in a tragic accident 6 years ago, and the importance of family has really. I was raised where family was always paramount, but it's become even more so since losing our oldest son. And so this show is very personal to me, as well as the highlight of my professional career as well.
Yeah, the older we get, the more sure it is that family is where it's all at.
That's right. Any other questions from anyone?
I think that's everything, but would like to thank you so much for being on with us today and to share all of your wonderful stories with us.
You bet.
Thank you, Dan.
I hope this answered a few questions, and we all realize the importance of family, the importance of genealogy work, and the importance of understanding where we came from and where we can be together as a family. And I appreciate the fact that we were given this great opportunity to create a show like this, but I also appreciate the opportunity to speak with good people like yourselves. And so thank you for asking, and I hope we'll have this opportunity in the future again sometime. Okay?
Good.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Dan.
We appreciate it greatly. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. We are delighted to have you with us this morning. This is Saturday morning, the 13th of November of 2021. I'm Don Snow. I'm in St. George, Utah. We have our speakers with us. We have our host today is Dawn Brimhall. She's down in Texas. Our speakers are in northern Utah, and we've got people online and Zoom with us from around the country, from Washington to various other places in Utah.
Sorry about that. Of a sound in the background. In any case, I'm glad that we've had this time together today to relook at Dan Debenham's involvement with relative race. If anyone wants to make some comments or have some questions that about this presentation, be happy to try to address those. I don't see any questions on the Facebook page or comments. Anyone here on Zoom like to say anything or have us comment on that? If so, just unmute your microphone. Apparently not. Well, I tried some tears too, like they did on Facebook at the original presentation of this in 2021. I would like to make a quick note. At our next meeting on the 10th of May, Christy Lee Manuel will present about the newly expanded full text search feature at Family Search. We look forward to understanding the advantages of this application of artificial intelligence better. So we'll see you next month. Thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.